Hi, I'm John Greven. This is part of the final act of the dog and pony show I did at the GAL convention where we talked about voicing steel string guitars. This is probably the central feature of the voicing process, and it's the most important thing in the beginning of the instrument to provide yourself with, the information that particular top is providing you. So what I do is I have all of my tops thicknessed to 135 thousandths to start with. So all the tops in the shop are the same thickness. And that provides me a starting point, a baseline for any particular top I pick up and play with. What I'm going to do is show you a number of different species here, and they're all the same thickness again, and they're variations within the species. For example, this is a Let's top, which I use a lot of. It's a B grade, and it's moderately stiff. Looks reasonably good, but listen to it. A little soft, and there's a very quick decay on the sustain. Those are very important characteristics. They will end up being that way in the finished instrument. Here's another piece of flats, much stiffer. This is master grade, very nice even grain. A little stiffer. And what I hear there is a tremendously clear, clean ping tone and a nice degree of sustain. This is an excellent top. It'll make a superb steel string fingerstyle guitar. That's kind of the sound I shoot for in Les. Now here's another master grade Les top. Looks just like the last one. Also stiff, but a different quality to the tone. This will be a killer guitar. Powerful, powerful guitar. It has a little bit of an edge, so it'll be bright. And I would generally use an Adirondack bracing with this to soften it up just a little bit. Part of the voicing process is choosing the brace material and the size and shape of that. But the voice of the instrument, fundamentally, is this piece of wood. Here's an Addy. This is an actual red spruce as opposed to white spruce. Let's see what it sounds like. Now, I'm not paying any attention to the frequency. Frequency is a function of density and the size of the plate. This is a kind of a dull ping tone to me. It will produce an instrument with not a very articulate voice. It has tons of power. I know that by working with the material, but it's not going to be a terribly crisp instrument. Here's a piece of master grade white spruce, also called Adirondack. Very stiff, nice piece of wood, very pretty. Much cleaner ping tone. This will be a superb top. I don't use a lot of Adirondack except for flat picking guitars. I like the power. I tend to like the clarity and the complexity of the Let's a little better. A lot of people use German, Italian, various Euro spruces. Here's a master grade sample of one of the above. Beautiful straight grain, clean, even grain. Let's hear what it sounds like. Not bad. Good clean ping tone. I hear woody. I don't hear a lot of complexity to it. The sustain's good. So it should make a very nice modern sounding flat finger picking guitar. Now this is a special piece of Engelmann. I'm very fortunate in Portland to have local sources that call me up when they get good stuff. And this is a high altitude, very stiff, very hard, old growth Engelmann. It's 30 lines to the inch, just superb. I don't normally use Engelmann, but I couldn't pass this up. Listen. Nice sustain. Nice sustain. Just a real clean, clean sound. This guitar will sparkle when you play it. Just crisp, clean, big voice, very articulate, and still just a little woody, which is what I like to hear. The last material I have here is Sitka, which is kind of the white bread of spruces. Everybody used it forever. This is a modern piece here. It's cut about 5 years ago. It's master grade. Here you go. It's a pretty top. I wouldn't actually use it. I don't like the way that I don't like what I'm hearing. I hear an aberrant kind of ping tone. I'm hearing lots of frequencies there as opposed to a good solid fundamental. And the quality of the sound is a little edgy, a little harsh. This will make a fingernails on the blackboard kind of guitar. Very, very bright. Lastly, this is some spruce, some Sitka spruce from the Kalamazoo factory circa 1958. It's Sitka, and it's what was then probably their A grade. But listen to this. They don't make trees like this anymore. And here's another one from the same stash. I've got quite a stash of this stuff. You just don't hear spruce that sounds like this anymore. I mean, it's just amazing material. I use this specifically when I do reproductions of vintage Gibson guitars because it gets to that kind of ballsy, intense, bright, but powerful sound that the old Gibsons had. It's not sophisticated. It's not like a Martin sound. It's raunchy, but in a good sort of way. So the next step, once you get the tops, figure out what you're going to do with that at the top. Put them together. Cut the sound hole out. This is cut for an L00 size. Again, this piece of Sitka, and I look at this and say, it's a nice piece of wood. A good A grade. Really stiff. Wonderful, wonderful. But then I test it. And I test these by holding them on the perimeter and tapping right here, which is just behind the bridge plate. And as you hear, there's not much there. This is probably one of the worst tops I've ever put together, which is why I still have it. And you're welcome. You can call me, I'll sell it to you. But that's the kind of sound you don't want to hear out of a top. Now here's a Let's top by comparison. Very stiff. About the same as the Sitka. This is one of their master grades. Listen to the difference. Clean ping tone, nice sustain. This will make an excellent guitar. Also a Let's top, same batch, same tree actually, and often I usually get stacks of material from one cut, one tree, and they're not always the same, which is kind of interesting. Here's this Let's top. Much quicker decay, not quite as clean. And this is also same tree, very, very stiff. I hear a lot of partials going on there. I don't hear a good solid fundamental. This will be an excellent flat picking guitar, but not so much for finger picking because of the complexity of the sound of a finger picking. A short scale finger picking guitar accentuates those aberrant frequencies. Here's a gorgeous piece of master grade Adirondack. Let's see what it sounds like. Much better. Very clean. Very nice. Adirondack's a wonderful material because it's powerful. The Let's is equally powerful, but much more complex sounding. But as Adirondack goes, this is quite a nice piece. And you're looking, I hear an extra little brightness there. Like it's an edgy quality, a metallic almost overtone to it. And that will show up in the finished instrument. And you might consider using something like an Adirondack brace stock to soften that, to pull those high partials out, as opposed to a nice stiff Sitka. Speaking of which, this is a little tiny single O top, master grade Engelmann, or I'm sorry, master grade Sitka. But listen to this. Now the frequency is a function of the size of this plate. It's small, so it's a high frequency. But the character, very interesting, very, very crisp, but it has this fatness to it. So this will be a wonderful small body finger picking guitar. Bear in mind, smaller guitars, the top will be stiffer by virtue of the size of the plate. So this is already stiff. It'll be really stiff on the guitar, so it'll be an incredibly bright instrument. So I'll back off that brightness with the Adirondack brace stock. So I'm sure you have a zillion questions at this point, but that's kind of the basics. What you hear in the tapping of that top is very much what that top is capable of giving you strung up, provided you don't do something just totally off the reservation. Overbrace it, overbuild it, couple it with cocoa bolo back and sides with 1/2-inch thick plates, stupid things. As long as you build lightly and sensibly, that voice that you're hearing and the tap tone will be very much the voice of the finished instrument. That's how I choose tops. Hope that helps.